Okay, so here we are back again in Suzerain. Let's just pick up from where we were last time. Chapter 1. Looking over the country of Swordland, there are a couple of things that obviously I need to pay attention to right now, and that is something happening in the city of Dare and in the capital of Holsword. So let's have a look in Holsword. Read the report from Holsword, the public opinion report. Let's have a look. People's views on the need for democratic reform in the government structure has changed over the last decade. Reformist propaganda from the leader of the People's Freedom and Justice Party, Franz Richter, let's keep an eye on him, have resulted in a massive increase in the demands for democratic reforms. It is estimated that currently 55% of the population supports the reformist ideas. Okay, Franz Richter is a Swedish politician, businessman and leader of the People's Freedom and Justice Party. He is also the major shareholder of the construction company Taurus Holding. Blah de blah de blah de blah de blah. You know, there's a big storied history about him here. Essentially, he remains as the leader of the opposition against the government of Swordland. He has been gaining more popularity over the last years and organised countless public speeches explaining the importance of democratic values and his plans for reform. Mate, he's the leader of the opposition, but I pretty much agree with him, you know. I think you're right. So, let's see how that pans out. What else? So we've got a meeting and a briefing. What else is happening in the other city there? What does this say? Read the report from Dare, increasing homelessness. The region of Bergia is among the worst hit regions in Swordland, when homelessness has skyrocketed since the economic recession. Number of homeless in Dare has increased by 25%. The rise was particularly stark among the Bloodish people, where homelessness increased by 72% in just 6 years. It's reported that homelessness among ethnic minorities has reached the highest level in more than a decade. The Bloodish minority of the region now account for up to 47% of all homeless people. So the Bloodish are essentially the minority, and we'll look at that a little bit more in the future. So let's have a look at the media strategy. Come on then, let's have a look. Lucian and Petter arrived at my office to talk about recent developments on the media strategy. I apologise if I've forgotten the voices I've given to these people. I can't be bothered to go back and listen to my previous video to check it out, but I'm just going to go with what I feel like. So they both took their seats across from me. Lucian put on his reading glasses and quickly went over some documents. Petter turned to Lucian and nodded. Lucian said, "Let's begin." Petter Vectus, "Hey man, first of all, Lucian, I know Petter Vectus is my best mate, so first of all, Lucian, you mentioned that Marcel Caronti contacted you. The Carontis had always been known as one of the richest and most influential families in Swordland. Marcel Caronti. He looks like a bit of a cunt, doesn't he? Even look at him. He was no exception. He was the oldest son of Conrad Caronti, the industrialist and media mogul who founded HOS. HOS being the heart of Swordland. You know, it's a conglomerate in a multi-industry corporation with tens of billions. Is part of the big four, the four largest companies in Swordland. Conrad Caronti. I guess he's dead. There's no photo. Okay. Lucian turned to me. He has offered to meet with you, Mr. President. What? Marcel Caronti has? Why is Conrad sending his son? Oh, okay, I guess he's not dead then. Why should I meet with him? What does he want? What does he want? What does he want, Lucian? What does he want? After the passing of his father, may he rest in peace, Marcel aims to become the next CEO of the HOS conglomerate. He mentioned a productive collaboration. Hey man, they're a powerful and influential media conglomerate. To start with, they own the Swordland Today newspaper, the Swordish Broadcasting Corporation, which means it would be wise to have them by our side. Sorry for interrupting. What does this productive collaboration entail? He did not wish to explain the details over the phone, but rather in person. I believe he will be receiving a call from him sometime soon. However, as Petter said, they have substantial power over the content of media outlets, headlines, radio shows. That is what he would be offering. What he wants in return is what we need to understand. But let's not get us ahead of ourselves. First, we need to determine our general approach to media. Hey man, I'm no media expert, but Lucian made some very interesting arguments there at the preparation meeting yesterday. There are two ways we can approach the media. One of them is by influencing it, which has clear advantages. The other one is keeping it independent. Well, here's an interesting question. It should be independent, or it should be a tool to be used. Well, I think to go along with, the kind of role that I'm trying to play here, then I think the media must be independent. I think that's our policy. The media must be independent. Ideally, yes, but an unpopular leader will not be able to pass even the easiest reforms. It is of utmost importance to maintain public popularity and avoid any damaging scandals or mistakes. I must stress one thing, Mr. President. The more people we have supporting our agenda, the more we can accomplish. With someone on our side and an influential media organization, we can do this very easily. I mean, he's right. He is right. But, geez, it's difficult. This is a difficult situation already. We're talking about the media, and I don't know, man. I see what you're getting at. Two wrongs don't make a right. I share your opinion. I see what you're getting at. Hey, man, I agree with Lucian, but why the assumption there'll be scandals and mistakes? We can always hope for the best, but do we really think that nothing can go wrong? Especially considering the very recent history of Swordland. 2 knocks were heard at the door. Who is it? It's Livia, Mr. President. Sorry, Livia, my new secretary, entered the office. Her dark curls bounced as she crossed the room to my desk. She spoke with a slight lilt in her voice. Oh dear. Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Gallad's secretary has been calling me and wanted me to relay a message. Marcel Caronti, the new CEO for HOS Conglomerate, is on the line for Mr. Gallad. Well, man, the ball is in our court now. Would you like me... Would you like to talk to him, sir? Or would you like me to? You go ahead, Lucian. You go ahead. Right away, sir. Connecting the call to line 1. Livia left the phone. Lucian picked up the phone and started to listen. A few minutes passed as the two talked over the phone. Good news indeed. Congratulations, Mr. Caronti. Thank you for contacting me about this. We will talk later. Hey man, what was so important that it couldn't wait? He was just elected CEO by the board of directors. He offered a partnership deal regarding his media branch. He is inviting us to his resort near Conrad for a meeting. The board has decided rather quickly. It seems that gave him the confidence to approach us again. He is going to offer a real deal and now has the power of the conglomerate too. The choice is up to you, Mr. President. I can set up the meeting soon. I don't know, man. What do you think, Petter? You're my best mate. What do you think? I'd like to hear your opinion too, Petter. Hey, man, I've got to say I'm torn. If he has become the CEO, then he has enormous influence right now. On the other hand, do we want to privately meet with someone we don't fully know? The meeting would help us figure him out. We could still say no to whatever he offers. Tough. Do we want to meet with him, or do we not want to associate with him? Well, I don't see any harm in meeting with him, so let's meet with him. Arrange the meeting with Mr. Caronti. I'll set things up right away, sir. Expect a worthwhile meeting next month. It's settled in, man. Looking forward to next month. I wonder if he has a pool. Hey! Lucian looked at his watch. It appears that we're done for today. We will continue where we left off later. Thank you for your time. See you soon, gentlemen. Lucian and Petter gathered the documents and promptly left my office. We were already getting the attention of key figures, and potentially dangerous ones. Codex entry added. Let's have a look at the newspapers today. The Whole Sword Post. A committee for reform. Speaker Gloria Tory so that a committee which includes all three political parties of the Assembly have been formed for the preparation of potential changes to the Constitution. The committee has been asked to submit a comprehensive report to find a solution to the current problematic state of affairs in the governmental institutions. Tory said, USP, which is the United Swordland Party, wants to appeal to the people of Swordland to help in maintaining stability and order in the state. The details of the committee regarding its actual topics or its members have not been classified. Swordland Today newspaper. Conrad Caronti passed away. Oh dear. That'd be why he sent his son then to our meeting. So my little joke about him being dead turned out to be true. How bizarre. Maybe this happened in the last episode, sorry, I don't remember. Lack of in times. Anything new here? Support in Assembly grows for campaign finance bill. The new bill will give political parties an annual amount of 500,000 Swordland per member of Assembly. Swedish National League starts. A bit of sport. Okay. The Radical. The whole sword elite gathers for a lavish state ball. Many citizens in the country are uncertain about their own future. But the state has no problems with wasting taxpayers' money right from the start. We demand that these traditions of wasteful nature will become a thing of the past once the president settles in. The team here at The Radical will keep fighting for a better, more equal tomorrow. Nothing new in The Economist and in the Geopolitico. As the Reign administration starts its first term, there is a question in all of our heads. What will be the regional international trade policy? Due to the strategic geopolitical location of Swordland, historically Agnolia and Welland have been natural trading partners. The real question is, what does Valksland or Lesbia think about this? Rumburg coming south. Now Rumburg, Our foreign policy analysts who are reviewing the recent aggressive military and diplomatic developments of Romberg have come to the conclusion that it's highly likely that Romberg will keep trying to push further south, threatening the territories of Swordland, Welland and possibly Agnolia. The annexation of Dome many decades ago was just the beginning. Romberg seems to be on a quest to secure all strategic resources in East Makopa. So as we may have touched on before, Romberg is sort of the Russia in this game. They own all this land to the north, and they're interested in invading to the south. Hence, Whole Sword and Swordland itself being a sort of Ukraine to mirror real life happenings these days. What else is happening in Whole Sword? Okay, we've got a couple more bits. Read the report from Whole Sword. The party committee report. Let's have a look at this. The Reform Committee reports that any potential change to the Constitution in the direction of the reformists would likely result in strong opposition from the National Front Party. The members of Assembly in support of such direction seem to be in great numbers and possibly make up a majority in the Grand National Assembly, whilst most members of the United Swordland Party seem reluctant about supporting such changes. Now then, we have two proper actions to take right now. Let's just pick up on the journal here. Turn 1. We won the 1953 election. I declare my intention to work with the reformists. I accepted the offer to privately meet with the new CEO of the Heart of Swordland. Okay, that's where we are. So let's pick up on the next two actions. Now, briefing on the current economic situation of the campaign finance bill. I feel we should probably look at the current economic situation first before looking at the finance bill, so let's have a look. Simon Hall, Gus Manger and Lilias Graf were about to arrive at the White Room for our scheduled economy meeting. This was the room in the Maroon Palace where all the important meetings were held. Two assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door, waiting for the ministers to enter. From the hallway I heard Lilias Graf's voice. She's using the patient, almost motherly tone she often took in heated arguments. Oh God, what kind of accent am I going to give her? Gus! Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is more in need of investment than Agnan? Lilias, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige, the only spot of colour a bright yellow nearest star on her necklace. Gus followed closely behind. Don't be an idiot, Lilias. What about the unemployment crisis the greater Whole Sword and Gelsland regions are going through? These areas are our economic heartland. Gus curls his hands into fists. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development's temper hadn't changed since his days in the Alfonso administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network of connections was unlike any other. Simon Hall quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. I am very well and motivated, Mr. Rain. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. I can clearly see that. What was the discussion about? We were having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... We will get there, Gus. No rush. First, I would like to conduct my economy presentation. Yeah, crack on, Simon. Go on. Yeah, just crack on. Let's begin. I'm looking forward to it. Simon pulled out a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have comprehensively analysed every aspect of... He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold up the heavy projector. Oh, you can put that there. He pointed below the painting of President Sol. The assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed a white screen on the wall. Leave now. I mean, thank you. And please leave now. The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Swordland. Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentation around with him. Lilius leaned to the table and spoke. Simon? What happened to the new police station construction in Nestord? Whilst going through his briefcase, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to a government property boundary issue. I have been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Nestord needs all the security help it can get. Sure. More time for me to spend on analysis. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some developments about the Swordish's Wren losing further value today. We have been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. The recession of 51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of concern for our administration. Since economic side is your forte, Mr. Rain, it is possible that you might already be aware of the data. I can still explain the current economic situation in better detail. Okay. What's our GDP and debt situation? Our current GDP is 310 billion Swedish Ren, and the national debt is 427 billion. It's still hard to fathom out that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. Okay, what about unemployment and inflation? Unemployment has skyrocketed and is now a staggering 16%, and the inflation is at a relative high of 7%. Unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. Okay, and what's the status of the recession? The economy has been in a recession of about -6% in the past year. The average GDP has dropped from 15,454 per capita to 10,359 from 1951 till now. This administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. Okay, I have all the information needed. Let's move on to the strategy. Simon scattered the paper stacks in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at his nose before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alfonso left us a large budget surplus which we can use to stabilize the crisis. The primary subject we need to settle on is what general path we will take in our term. Solonomics-based nationalization happened in the 1930s, and Alfonso's privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of our main promises was to promote a free market economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I believe it is the only way out of the recession. I still do not support it. Why promote the private sector when we have qualified state-owned enterprises? Because the lack of competition has made them inefficient. What are the consequences of the free market? The more of the economy we control, the better we can manage the recession. The downsides of the planned economy, humanity in the 20th century. I mean, I think, jeez, what do I think? I think, what are the downsides of the planned economy? It is clear that most of the state corporations and other government-controlled systems are less efficient. The government of Swordsland and its institutions or corporations have a solid history of delivering. The structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at their time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. That is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can both agree on, Lilius. There is another important point which has a direct impact on our economy: superpowers. We might have won the election, but I am still against aligning ourselves with any superpowers. Economically speaking, we are much more close to Arcasia, so the decision to align to the west makes more sense. And just to say, Arcasia is essentially, I think it's kind of America. United Cantana is, kind of China. So, and the west presumably is Arcasia. So, we must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised by Swordland. We cannot give in to their wants now or in the future. Otherwise, our country will turn into a pawn. I want you to reconsider your promise to align with Arcasia. I have made a promise to the people of Swordland. I have. I mean, that's part of why I was elected, so I won't back down. So that is my pledge. So I've made that promise. I won't back down. Exactly, man. We made a promise. People want to trust their president. What kind of example would we set for the future generations if we were to back down on our promises? Also, in my opinion, aligning with a powerful country like Arcadia was an excellent decision. I know you have campaigned for this in the party for a long time, Gus. Mr. President, this is exactly what being controlled looks like, voluntarily or involuntarily. Gus eyed Lilius with distrust, but didn't say anything. When the time comes, I hope you will make the right decision for our own good. Simon cleared his throat again. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Wishy will be in charge of informing you on those types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide our internal economic plan. Simon put forward a legal document outlining the possibilities with both economic doctrines listed. Doctrines. The cabinet ministers looked at me. We have to thank Sol and his planned economy for the boom. Let's finish what Alfonso started. What's on our long-term economic? Would a free market focus bring us stronger allies? I think we want to focus on free market, so let's go with 4. It would make Arcadia look at our country in a more positive light. There are proponents of the free market economy. The influence Arcadia has on the world economy is extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on internal reasoning, though. What's on the long-term schedule? Picking a construction company, trade relations, tax reform, and privatization initiatives would be some of them. Sticking to a solid planned economy strategy would be the right call. The 5-year plans were fruitful in the past. Let's finish what Alfonso started with his capitalist free market reforms. That's what we're going to do. The recession was the direct result of his free market reforms. History must note that the reason for the recession was because Alfonso was betrayed by his party. That is not true. There's plenty of time for him to do it. If you can't make change happen in 2 years, then you are at fault. 2 years ain't long enough, Lilius. I disagree with you here. What are your final thoughts then, Mr. President? Critical institutions must remain state control. We should look at opportunities like privatization to create financial resource. A market economy doesn't require as much guidance and could help us attract foreign capital. Well, let's think about this for a second. We're trying to get out of a recession, right? So will privatization create financial resources to get out of recession? State control, market economy, privatization. It's hard to fully agree or disagree with these options. It is. And while every cabinet member has their own opinions, your final say is what counts. This is the overall strategic direction. Our ability to make micro decisions still remains. So what will our general economic plan promote? Oh, it's got to be free market, that's what we promised. I can't say I agree with this. Well, I can't say I agree with you, Lilius, so you fuck off. Now that there is clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At our next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. Now that the economic direction was taken, the ministers dispersed for lunch at the Room Palace. And I think we'll call it a night there. I think I've been on. It's about half an hour. That'll do for this episode. Haven't really made much progress at all, and a lot more yellow icons have popped up all over the map. So maybe we'll try and get through them next time, maybe a little bit faster. But yeah, thanks for watching, and catch you next time. Bye bye.